Good morning. Good morning. How are you? I hope you're safe and well because, of course, that is the most important thing. And I hope your family and friends are all well too. Well, less good news for you today. You may have seen that off the coast of Sri Lanka, we had a container ship, the MV Express Pearl, which sank a couple of weeks ago. Now, there's been a lot of stushy about it because, oh, environment. And yes, it's bad. It was being towed into deep water apparently, and it sank. It sort of fouled on the bottom because it was only in 22 meters of water, and the back of the ship appears to have already been broken by that stage. And you might be thinking, well, what's this got to do with chemical trade? And the answer is they had a leak of nitric acid. There was 25 tons of nitric acid on board. It leaked. Goodness knows what it's like trying to deal with a leak on a container ship. You know, how do you get to it? How do you stop it? And apparently the usual protocol is you call a port and you say, I'm coming in, I need this offloaded. And then once it's offloaded, it can be dealt with because you can actually access the container itself and get inside and sort out all the rest of it. And because it was nitric acid, presumably strong nitric acid, it caused a fire. Or a fire was caused as part of how they were dealing with it. No idea really what happened. And as a result of that, the fire couldn't be fought. They tried at least 2 ports, and the ports were like, no, you're going to have to deal with it. And we are where we are. So the reason that that's bad news for chemical trade is, first of all, this is a new container ship. We know that there are problems with trade at the moment. We know that prices for containers have gone through the roof because of a lack of containers, although that is starting to be resolved. I hear on the grapevine that there are a lot of boats going back to China with empty containers because, of course, the coronavirus lockdowns have really impacted on international trade hugely. So this new boat has gone, so that's less capacity on the international trade routes. And the second reason is there is a concern that it may lead to extra controls or requirements on the movement of chemicals internationally. Because if you think about it, if you're an insurer and you've just seen a massive, massive loss, you're going to want to say, well, hang on a minute, if you're moving these dangerous chemicals, then have you got agreements with the ports in place? For example, you know, I'm just sort of thinking this through really. Have you got agreements that if there's something wrong, you've then got a safe haven you can take the boat to? And of course, that's going to cost money. And do people need extra training on board ship and how to deal with these kind of things? And is it going to affect IMDG, the international shipping rules, all that sort of thing? You can see that this potentially has a lot of knock-on consequences. And of course, there's also going to be a push if there's any kind of environmental impact. There's going to be a big push from the green lobby to call for extra changes around the way that hazardous chemicals are shipped internationally. Of course, a lot of these green people would rather like to see all chemicals, all industrial chemicals, banned entirely. So they may shout very, very loudly and just to try and, oh, chemicals bad, stop everything. But we need to be prepared for that. So it's been a shocking year for the chemical supply chain generally. The last thing we need is another thing like this happening. And I think the overall outcome of it is that prices are likely to rise. So anyway, I'll just put a link below this video to a good report by Reuters, although again, they don't tell it from the point of view of keeping the supply chain going. It's all about environmental harm. And it's interesting that it's not even a story from the trade perspective, from the keeping the country going perspective. It's only a story because chemicals bad for environment. And again, that's something that we maybe need to think about talking to people more about to put the industry's case forward. No, we are trying to make things that will help you. And that's why things like nitric acid get moved about globally. Anyway, leaving that on one side, some interesting news from the HSE. They've just published their workload for REACH for 2021/22. And you might go, okay, well, that's what I could do. That's fine. And the answer is, no, it's not fine. It's not at all fine. Why the hell have we adopted REACH with all its bureaucracy? on an overburdened HSE. Various people have had the same email that I had saying, oh, this is the information. I'm just putting a link and I will put it below this video again. HSE GB Reach workload, because of course it is GB Reach at the moment because Northern Ireland is still underneath EU Reach. So that's just going in just now. And even the fact, if you think about it, if you think of the HSE as a business, yeah, you want them to have a plan of what they're going to do. You don't want to spend a how many page document, 37-page document saying how they've done it. If you were in business, you're not going to go, oh, here's a 37-page report on how I'm going to make sales this year, are you? No, you want like a one-page bullet point. And that's the problem with ECHA. And that's the problem with the EU as a whole. It's an enormous sodding bureaucracy. And it's far, far too based on, oh, we have to have transparency. No, all the real decisions are taken in secret. We know that. We've seen it time and time again. Bad decisions on chemical classifications or designations are taken behind closed doors. And then we, the industry who are actually dealing with these materials, who are legally responsible for them, are just things are handed to us on the plate. And so all this, it's like window dressing, and it's also taking good people who should be concentrating on things like in the case of the HSE, actually helping industry get to deal with all these new regulations and making sure people are safe when they handle chemicals. Doing all the bureaucracy takes decent people away from what they should be doing in the first place. It takes them away from their proper jobs. And people start to think the bureaucracy is the point, not keeping people safe is the point, and allowing us to continue to use chemicals and have this historically a unique standard of living that we have, and security of the food supply, and clean water, and modern medicine, and all these kind of things. So yeah, it's interesting they've published it. It's also very worrying because why the hell have we adopted all this nonsense? And of course, one reason is because of the withdrawal agreement. And the sooner we get rid of that withdrawal agreement and we get full Brexit, I think the better, because you can just see the HSE being burdened by all of this. The good girls and guys who work there, who are going to be sort of hampered by this EU notion of what the bureaucracy should involve, instead of HSE's traditional approach, which is to work in a flexible and an agile way and do their best to help protect the British public and the British workforce, and make sure that that they're keeping us in industry, on the straight and narrow, and that we're all working together and pulling in the same direction. Interesting times. Anyway, sorry, I have ranted this morning, but it is, the GB Reach workload thing is, if that's how we're going to go, if we're just going to duplicate the EU's bureaucracy in a much smaller country when we can't really afford it, it's not a good outcome, not at all. Right, reasons to be cheerful. Carlsberg. We're continuing with some of the great Carlsberg adverts that apparently have come out of Diageo Ireland. And this one is called Flatmates. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, and look after your blood pressure. Don't be like me and start ranting about things. We have to look after ourselves, don't we? Just putting that below the video just now. So take care of yourselves. I hope to see you again tomorrow. And when no doubt I will be ranting about something else. I hope you, like I said at the start, hope you're safe and well, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.